Hey everybody and welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to do a really quick review slash overview of the ON 10.1 inch tablet. This is an older model, so this is the 2024 model, but really wanted to do a quick overview of the device itself. I'll show boot up, go through the specs, and really just explain why I think it's still going to be relevant even after 2024. So before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe and check out the channel for new content. All right, so jumping straight in, I have the device here. I'll put it in the case in a moment, but wanted to show going around the device. So you will get some smudges, but it does have a really nice look and feel. I've been impressed with how the Walmart brand, kind of like a generic tablet, actually ends up feeling pretty solid. It has this kind of almost waxy aluminum feel. It's not too much of a fingerprint magnet. And we have our camera up here, device itself. So we have our power button, volume, then you'll see we have camera slash flash, and then we can kind of walk around. You'll see where we have all of our cutouts for USB Type-C and speakers. And then we have also expandable storage and our camera up top. So again, just kind of walking around, you can get a feel for where everything is, like the expandable storage slot and things of that nature. Let me try to focus in here. And you will get the ejector tool for this as well. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put this back in a case that I found online. Reason for that is I'm going to prop it up while I'm going over the device specs, because I want to show some of the more basic things that I think people looking for tablets in this category might be interested in. So I have the case here and I have the box behind it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and power it on with this power button here. So we can hold the power button down. And I just want you to see about how long the boot up process will take. So I'll put this back here. And then going around the box, we will go to the back and go over specs. So this will ship with Android 14. We have a 10.1 inch 1280 by 800 IPS LCD touchscreen, a 2 gigahertz octa-core processor, 3 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of storage with expandable storage. And then as we're just now starting up, we have a couple of other specs like a 2 megapixel front-facing camera, 5 megapixel rear-facing camera, 1-year warranty, and up to 17 hours of battery life. Now, when we first get this started up, so I'll put what's in the box specs off to the side. We will go ahead and swipe up. Now, that's one thing I wanted to cover. Very, very minor, but sometimes when you're swiping, it doesn't always catch it. So I don't know, it seems to happen more when you've just started it for the first time. As you could tell, it worked right away there. So kind of an odd one, but once we enter in the PIN, the startup itself is relatively quick. Now I've noticed with devices in this price range, in my personal opinion, it tends to be a little bit better if you start them up or turn them on and then let them sit for a couple of seconds before heavy use. Now, I want to cover why I think this is still pretty relevant even after the actual manufacturer / release date. Now, some of the smaller tablets, especially the ON brand, I don't think they always have all of the specs that are needed. I think this has just enough to make it pretty usable for light usage. So really, really not memory intensive games, but if you want to do something like me and use it as an e-reader, or you're doing basic multimedia content, so like watching videos, things like that. Now, if you want to do really demanding things, this is not going to be the best fit in my opinion. Now, on startup, so you can see we can swipe to the left for news and we won't go to the right because we don't have anything on that screen. So I got this for the Bible app and a couple of other things. So I'm using the King James Version of the Bible along with a couple of other news apps and other things like that. So when the device is started, going through just kind of showing you how it feels to use it. So there's no noticeable lag once you've given it time to start up. You can go over to instant games. You can scroll through the apps that you already have installed. You can open up things like if you wanted to open up your settings or any other apps here. Now, I have a couple of apps that are already open, so you can see as we're scrolling through, no major lag or anything like that. We can check out our settings. So for example, if we want to, we can go to our storage, get an idea of our breakdown of what's been used. We can also go to battery and view the overall usage. And then you can see what really has been using the most battery based on your like last full charge or the time between now and then. Now, if you're interested, we have a couple of different ways to set up our navigation menu. But if we hit this square button, we can see all of the different apps. And you can see if we were to click on the Bible app, for example, you have the ability when we click here to click split, and then you can split the screen between two apps. For example, we could have Bible app up top, and then we could have Chrome right here. And then you can resize based on whatever your needs are. Now, this split screen works with multiple apps. So if you wanted to do something like have YouTube, or maybe you wanted to have the news and have that split screen, and then when you go to switch between apps, you'll notice that the split screen is still there. And if you ever want, you can swipe up, and now we have each of those instances of those apps running separately, along with a clear all. So that's the general idea of the tablet itself, overall usability. I think that this is a pretty solid screen size personally. And once it's started up and you've updated it, I think overall it's pretty solid. Now, again, the few minor quirks that I've noticed from using it are simple things like if we hit the power button, pretty much screen lights up right away. And sometimes we get right to the pin screen. Sometimes you have to swipe a couple of times, but again, that's a really, really minor thing to have as a complaint. And another thing to note is when I first got the tablet and started it up, I had a couple of app crashes while I was installing new apps, but after updating, everything seems to be working fine right now. So I guess what I would say here is, as the concluding comments or statements, I think overall it's a solid budget tablet depending on what you need. These are the specs right here. If you're interested in learning more, again, this is the 2024 model, so you can compare this to future models you're interested in. It does seem to be geared a little bit more towards kids, but it is something that you could use again for reading, really light gaming, things of that nature. But I'd love to know your thoughts. Let me know in the comment box below.